Good evening, time travel enthusiasts of the interwebs. I'm Alexa, resident ookie spooky girly, and today we are once again discussing the possibility of time travel from a logistical point of view. Question for y'all, have you ever experienced a time slip? Let me know in the comments, and speaking of which, stay tuned until the end of today for another edition of comment shoutouts, and welcome to the top 5 time travel urban legends proven true. Number 5, Victor Goddard. Now, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times, but I place a lot of belief and trust in experiences that come from pilots, since they are legitimately trained to recognize the unknown in the air and remember everything about what they see. Hey, my ADHD brain can never ever remember that much unless it's a hyperfixation, and even then, I wouldn't trust it to remember anything on command when I'm overwhelmed. Back in 1935, when he was a wing commander, Sir Victor Goddard was instructed to inspect an inactive airbase located in Drem near Edinburgh in Scotland. While flying over it, Sir Goddard found the airbase to be in a poor state with cattle grazing on the wild grass that had now forced its way through the tarmac. Like I swear the entire place was in complete shambles. Later on, while flying his plane though, he got into a bit of trouble thanks to the harsh weather conditions, and to avoid an accident, Sir Goddard decided to fly back to the abandoned airbase till the weather cleared out a little bit. As he approached the airbase, the torrential rain oddly and very abruptly gave way to bright sunshine when Sir Victor noticed that the airbase was not only in mint condition, but in use. He spotted mechanics wearing blue overalls working on the yellow planes parked on the runway, but he was unable to recognize a single craft on the base. There was no way the place could have gone from decrepit to fully renovated and operational in half an afternoon, and more importantly, these guys weren't wearing the khaki-colored uniforms that were a norm at the time. Oh, and by the way, the Air Force at the time painted all their planes in silver, not yellow. Completely baffled by what on earth was going on, Sir Goddard got the shock of his life 4 years later. So Europe was war-torn and he happened to visit Drem again. But this time he saw everything he saw 4 years back in 1935. The same people in blue overalls servicing yellow planes, and he even found the plane he couldn't recognize before, now identifying it as a Miles Magister. I've had like a glimpse into the future before myself, but never a slip that detailed. Honestly, out of the entire list that I've curated for y'all today, this is one instance where history was actually able to prove it. So, time slip confirmed. Number 4, the Mandela Effect. Okay, think about this one. Really think about it. The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon where a large group of people remember something differently from how it occurred in reality. It is named after Nelson Mandela, as some incorrectly remembered him dying in prison in the 1980s. Now, while some people say the Mandela Effect is just due to confirmation bias or misremembering, others entertain more speculative explanations, such as, parallel universes, or in my beliefs, time slips, time travel. Hey, what's the first rule of time travel? Never touch anything, because it could impact the future and spiral. So what if the Mandela Effect is just leftovers from people traveling back in time and messing with the past? Ergo, affecting the present timeline. Let's start with the most famous example. Even though, Nelson Mandela didn't pass away until 2013, many people remember him dying in the 80s while in prison. And some folks even remember his widow giving a speech after his death, vividly. So what if somebody went back in time and saved him from passing, ergo changing the timeline? Okay, look, if you don't believe the big thing, just look at the amount of small things that have changed over the years. Berenstain Bears, which is one I remember having totally different spelling, the Monopoly Man having a monocle, the creator of Peanuts having a T in his last name, that one boggled my mind. Fruit of the Loom having a cornucopia in their logo, which looks much better. Luke, I Am Your Father. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Like, trust me, I could be here for ages listing all the obvious examples off. It makes sense to me. The times just sort of slipped and warped and changed. Number 3, the Chronovisor. No, this isn't some kind of weird hat or goggles. Italian Benedictine monk Pellegrino Andradee claimed to have used a time viewer which could film the past without sound, and used it to obtain a photograph of the crucifixion of Jesus and view scenes from ancient Rome, including a performance of the lost play Thyestes. Or is it Thyestes? Let me know in the comments. Now, this was mostly scrubbed away in history until 2002, when author Father François Brun swore in his book, Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican, that the Chronovisor not only exists, but that he learned about it in the early 1960s. A day after he met scientist priest Father Pellegrino for the first time, the two were sailing along the Grand Canal of Venice, discussing, biblical interpretations, when Andradee explained that theories and interpretations were unnecessary, when you could just see the truth for yourself. Which, I wish. It would make so much more sense in life. He explained to Brun how the Chronovisor functioned, allowing the viewer to both see and hear events of the past and future. And hey, if you don't believe my word, his full account is included in Brun's book. With a little digging, researchers will find first mentions of the Chronovisor in a 1972 article published in the Italian magazine La Domenica del Corriere, entitled "A Machine That Photographs the Past Has Finally Been Invented." Belonging to the Vatican, the Chronovisor time machine is heralded as one of the papacy's best kept or worst kept secrets. The device is said to be replete with 3 precious alloys, cathodes, dials, levers, and that it has the ability, once again, to display a myriad of historic events in biblical and Roman history. Acting as a sort of television, the Chronovisor has even supposedly verified the existence of Jesus Christ and once again broadcast that crucifixion. Ouch! The Chronovisor time machine is claimed to have been invented in the 1950s by a dedicated and secret team of Italian scientists, including physicist Enrico Fermi and, yep, our favorite, Andradee. Critics may take credibility issues with the fact that Andradee eventually became a priest, but this critic doesn't take issue with that. More so that the Vatican is hiding a tool that could be used to help solve unanswered crimes around the world and help people. Imagine how many killings could be solved, and how many families of lost people could have answers. And just, I don't know, I think it'd be pretty cool to look back through history and just be like, oh, so that's what actually happened, instead of the fan fiction we often read in our textbooks. Number 2, Project Rainbow. The legend of the Philadelphia experiment, a story that has permeated paranormal lore for decades, is a fascinating tale of alleged military experimentation in science fiction-like events that unfolded around the USS Eldridge at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in 1943. This narrative has captured the fascination of many, myself included. The story first emerged in the late 1950s when an ex-merchant mariner named Carl M. Allen sent a book filled with handwritten annotations to the U.S. Office of Naval Research. The annotations appeared to detail a heated debate among multiple individuals about Morris K. Jessup's book on unidentified flying objects, and they touched upon alien races and propulsion for flying saucers. A mysterious figure named Jemmy was at the center of this discourse. Using the name Carlos Miguel Allende, introduced the concept of a dangerous experiment allegedly conducted by the U.S. Navy in 1943. This experiment involved rendering the USS Eldridge invisible and teleporting it from Philadelphia to Norfolk, Virginia. Allen claimed to have witnessed this event while serving on another ship. The story took an even stranger turn, though, when 2 officers at the Office of Naval Research took an interest in the matter. They showed Jessup the annotated book and noticed similarities in the handwriting between the annotations and the letters they received from Allen. Over the years, this tale gained popularity through various iterations in books and films. Most notably, Charles Berlitz's and William L. Moore's book, The Philadelphia Experiment, Project Invisibility, and the subsequent 1984 time travel film titled The Philadelphia Experiment. Some individuals even claim to have been aboard the USS Eldridge during the alleged experiment, further blurring the lines between fact and fiction. And despite the enduring allure of the experiment, it kind of remains a contentious story. The U.S. Navy has consistently denied its existence, go figure, stating that the experiment contradicts well-established facts about the USS Eldridge and is rooted in non-existent physics. I think we all know at this point to take any government statements with a pound of salt. Many aspects of the story, such as the supposed side effects on the crew, the teleportation, and the invisibility, yeah, they might lack concrete evidence, but they've got quite a few anecdotal accounts and pretty valid information. Ultimately, the truth behind this legend remains elusive, nestled in the shadowy realms of speculation and intrigue, but I believe it. Number 1, Glocke. So since this device happens to be from World War II, I apologize in advance for how nonsensical I might sound, since the interwebs don't really like the name of the evil dictator at the time or his Yahtzee followers, if you catch my drift. In his 2001 book, The Hunt for Zero Point, author Nick Cook identified claims about Glocke as having originated in the 2000 Polish book, The Truth About the Wonder Weapon by Igor Witkowski. Nick described Igor's claims of a device called the Bell, engineered by Yahtzee scientists, that was a glowing, rotating contraption rumored to have some sort of anti-gravitational effect, and be a time machine. According to Nick, Glocke was bell-shaped, about 12 feet high and 9 feet in diameter, and incorporated 2 high-speed, counter-rotating cylinders filled with a purplish, liquid, metallic-looking substance that was supposed to be highly radioactive, with the code name Zerum 525. He recounts claims that scientists and technicians who worked on the Bell and who did not die of its effects or, disappeared mysteriously were wiped out by the SS at the close of the war, and the device was moved to an unknown location. Which, honestly, those all check. Nick proposed that SS official Hans Kammler later secretly traded this technology to the US military in exchange for his freedom. Historical theorists are pretty sure that a concrete ring called the Henge near the Wenceslas mine that was built in 1943 and vaguely resembled Stonehenge was used as a launch pad for the Bell. Igor's book was translated to English in 2003, and he claimed to have discovered evidence of Die Glocke in a review of World War II-era documents that were declassified by the Polish government, which led him to additional research via archives and interviews. The first document, allegedly supplied to Igor by an unnamed Polish government official, was from the war crimes trial for General Jacob Sporenberg, who supposedly confessed to ordering the deaths of around 60 people who had knowledge of the secretive project. Kurt de Bus, Werner von Braun, and Walter Gerlach were also allegedly implicated in the Die Glocke research. Igor claims this device was organized under a division of the Waffen-SS and operated mainly at facilities in Lower Silesia. Die Glocke was conceived in early 1942, and active experimentation began in mid-1944. Prisoners from the Gross Rosen concentration camp were exposed to radiation from this machine, resulting in many deaths and health problems. Survivors of the camp reported witnessing tests of this machine, reporting a bright bluish light from the object. Igor believes Xerum 525 was likely an irradiated form of mercury used in the creation of a form of plasma that was intended as a weapon and/or propulsion system, and which would have been capable of distorting space and time. So what you're telling me is there is indeed a time-traveling device out there. I just need to find it. Game on. Alrighty folks, that brings us to the end of our list, which means it's time to shout out some memorable comments. Starting off strong, user Highway Hannah asked on the top 5 terrifying Halloween urban legends only the brave can survive, do you have to spell B-L-O-O-D-Y, or are you just not allowed to say the B word on YouTube? It's one of the interweb no-no words, which is why I always use a different word or spell it out for effect if I really want to keep it in. Thank you for asking though. Glad I could clear that up. Moving along to a comment from Christine Collier 9155 on the top 5 demonic audio recordings caught on tape. She mentioned, I have caught a few EVPs myself, didn't think they were real until I did. They were definitely intelligent. Well, would you look at that? Welcome to the enlightened side of the interwebs, Christine. Nice to have you here. And finally, from the same video, Amanda Quezada 2854 said, I couldn't even get halfway through the video. I got so freaked out. To which I apologize, and I hope I didn't freak you out for good. If you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more urban legends from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.